When my wife, Emily, and I purchased our dream home, I envisioned a peaceful retreat, not a showdown with an HOA tyrant named Linda. What started as friendly waves quickly escalated into a chaotic clash over property lines, petty control tactics, and the most absurd garage saga imaginable. After years of living in apartments with walls so thin you could hear a neighbor cough, the idea of a standalone house with a spacious backyard felt like a jackpot. I'm an engineer, logical, precise, a guy who values structure and clear limits. That's why this place clicked for me. A corner lot with a generous side strip of land, perfect for a future garden or a play space for our daughter, Mia. It wasn't fenced yet, but that was deliberate. I wanted to take my time crafting something special come spring, maybe a deck, some landscaping, native flowers. It was our blank slate. The first few weeks were pure bliss. Emily and I would sit outside in camping chairs, dreaming up plans for the yard. Mia would dart around chasing butterflies or zooming her toy police car through the grass. Every glance out the window reminded me, this is ours. We earned this. Then Linda showed up. We met her on day 4, like she'd been lurking until the moving van peeled out. Mid-50s, blunt bob haircut, crisp slacks, and a clipboard that might as well have been glued to her hand. "I'm Linda," she announced, flashing a smile that screamed rehearsal. "Welcome to the neighborhood. I'm on the HOA board. Well, I pretty much am the board these days. Things get sloppy without someone keeping watch." She seemed harmless at first, even dropped off a helpful community giddy a 10-page manifesto on mailbox shades, lawn edging rules, and approved decor. Emily and I chuckled about it later, joking about a step forward wives of YB in suburban Idaho. But the novelty wore off fast. Linda started popping by Union of Whitehead, usually catching me mid-task. "Just a heads up," she'd chirp. "Your trash cans were 3 inches past the sidewalk this morning. We like them tucked in." Or, "I saw some packing debris by your porch. HOA guidelines suggest keeping curb appeal sharp, even during move-in." It dawned on me, she wasn't just nosy, she was the self-crowned enforcer of lawn perfection. One day, I spotted her snapping photos of my side yard. I stepped out and asked if something was wrong. She didn't blink. "Oh, don't mind me, just documenting the neighborhood. Stay for friendly reminders later, if needed." I let it slide, figuring she'd back off once we settled in and showed we weren't slobs. I misjudged her. What I saw as petty nitpicking was just the warm-up. She'd linger near the property line, eyeing it like she was sizing it up mentally. She'd drop weird comments, too. "That extra strip next to your lot really boosts curb appeal. The old owner used to say it just blended into the neighborhood." Back then, it felt like chit-chat. Now, I see it was a hint of seed she was planting. While I dreamed of tomato plants, Linda had something far more solid in mind. Spring hit, and with it, a much-needed family getaway. Emily was desperate for a break from her job's grind, and Mia had never seen the coast. We booked 2 weeks in Hawaii, something we'd fantasized about forever but never pulled off until now. It was heaven. Beach days, shave ice, nights lulled by waves instead of lawnmowers. For a bit, Linda faded into the static of our old life. I almost and said myself she was just annoying, not a threat. Then we got home. Pulling into the driveway after a red-eye flight, exhausted but glowing from the trip, noticed something off. Our side yard, that wide patch between our house and Linda's, looked wrong. Emily squinted, too, like she couldn't trust her eyes. There, straddling the line between her lot and ours, stood a pristine double-bay garage, fresh concrete, crisp siding, modern trim, like it belonged in a magazine. It sat there, bold and shameless, right where our garden was supposed to go. I climbed out of the car, moving slow, like I was sizing up a stray bear. "That wasn't there before, right?" I asked Emily. She just gaped. Mia, unfazed, asked if the neighbors build a spaceship house. I wished it were that simple. I traced the edge of the structure where concrete met dirt. It didn't take long to confirm. The garage wasn't just grazing our land, it stretched a full 8 feet onto our side. I double-checked the GPS plot on my phone, though I didn't need to. The line was OBVYUS, and it had been crossed. My gut said it was a mix-up, maybe a contractor's error or a misread boundary. So, I marched next door, adrenaline pumping, and knocked. Linda answered like she'd been expecting pizza. "Mark, you're back. How was Hawaii?" "Nice tan." I forced a grin. "Hey, yeah, it was great. Quick question about that garage." She tilted her head, all innocence. "The garage?" That shiny new two-car thing halfway on my lot. She blinked, then gave a breezy laugh. Oh, that garage? Didn't think you'd notice so fast. I stared. I noticed right away. She waved it off. We've been planning it for a little family project. My nephew designed it. Turned out amazing, right? But it's on my land, I said, irritation creeping in. She gave me a look like I was overreacting. Oh, Mark, it's just a few feet. That strip was always empty. The last owner and I had an understanding it wasn't a big deal. That's not in any paperwork, I shot back. And it is a big deal to me. It's our property. Her smile tightened. Well, the HOA approved it, so it's legit. Talk to the board if you want, but starting a fight over some grass? Your call. I think it's an upgrade for everyone. I stood there, jaw clenched. This wasn't a mistake, it was calculated. And I had a bad feeling it was just the start. Within days, a letter appeared, taped to my mailbox in an envelope with the HOA logo. It was a masterclass in passive-aggressive nonsense. Dear Mr. Taylor, it has come to our attention that your property disrupts the visual harmony of recent neighborhood improvements. The new garage has received praise, and we suggest steps to align with its aesthetic. They wanted me to plant shrubs around her garage and match my house paint to it for cohesion. That same day, some guy in a polo shirt strolled onto my lawn with a clipboard, measuring my yard like he owned it. I confronted him. He claimed to be an HOA landscaping volunteer integrating visual flow. I told him to get off my property. He scribbled something and left, offended. Next came a flyer, Curb Appeal is Community Pride, with a photo of my yard marked up with suggested upgrades. Then a zoning survey notice appeared, announcing an HOA boundary review of my lot. When I called, some woman named Cheryl from the Aesthetics Subcommittee said they had discretion over structures of interest. I hit my limit. At the next HOA meeting, I brought my survey, GPS data, and photos. Linda presided like a dictator in a folding chair. I laid out my case calm factual. She cut in. Let's not fuss over measurements. This is about community spirit. Then she flashed a permission letter she'd signed herself while we were gone, citing a neighborly tradition. When I pressed how the HOA could greenlight building on my land, she smirked. If it wasn't used and no one objected, it's communal in spirit. That's when I snapped. This was a power grab, not a misunderstanding. I called my lawyer, Diane Voss, a sharp woman who didn't mess around. I handed her a stack, surveys, photos, footage of Linda's crew pouring concrete while we were in Hawaii. She skimmed it, paused at the HOA's paint-matching letter, and muttered, "Oh, it's that kind of HOA." Within 48 hours, she filed a cease and desist and a lawsuit against Linda in the HO encroachment, negligence, distress. We demanded the garage's removal, damages, and a public retraction. Linda lost it when served, ranting about the anti-community engineer, me. She hit the neighborhood Facebook group, posting about newbies ruining harmony and crowdfunding her defense with a Save Linda's Garage page. Some neighbors glared, others whispered thanks for taking her on. Diane dug deeper. A surveyor confirmed the 8-foot overstep. A contractor admitted Linda shifted the plans mid-build, claiming HOA approval. Her city permit? Only for her lot, making it fraud. The HOA's smugness faded. They pushed for mediation. Diane grinned. They're scared now. In court, Linda played the victim. I've run this HOA for years, picnics, decorations. This was just tradition. Diane shredded her. A handshake doesn't justify stealing 8 feet. Security footage sealed it, Linda directing the build on my land. The jury ruled for me. Garage gone. Dula $150,000 for fees and distress. Linda stared blankly as I exhaled relief. 3 weeks later, demolition crews tore down the garage. I watched, coffee in hand, as it crumbled. Word spread Linda's HOA reign had long annoyed others. Leaked emails showed her finding wreaths and bird noise. An emergency election ousted her. A chill retired teacher, Ellen, took over with open meetings and iced tea. Linda faded, head low. I planted wildflowers where her garage once stood and built a fire pit patio, complete with a sign. Here once stood Linda's garage, may it rest in pieces. Private property. HOA opinions not welcome. At our first barbecue there, neighbors laughed, ate ribs, and toasted to clear lines. Peace at last.